sorry, but that is...
In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I made my table mount for my swivel table so it fits perfectly in my Ram Promaster.
The moment I've been waiting for. Oh boy. The way it works and the way it has to be mounted in this van, I'm not going to be able to really raise it up very high just because of the way the bottom of this mount works and where the holes are on the back of this seat. So I'm going to do my best to try to make like a little L-shaped wooden piece here, so that way I can mount this up a little bit higher. Basically, you see these holes right here. This is where the wood is going to mount. And then I'm going to have it come up a little bit so that this plate can just mount higher instead of down low. Then the table would be way too low and it would be hitting my knees. But this table would just be way too low if the mount was down here. All right, y'all, for anybody wondering, this is how I'm going to figure out exactly how to cut out this wood so it works with the table frame. And I'm kind of like estimating how high this needs to be up according to my ability to then adjust the table. Just using tape and paper to make this template. This is kind of reminiscent of the way I did the floor when I cut the floor. And for me, I'm so like visual. I need to see everything. Just getting in here like this and actually making a physical form instead of like measuring and transferring the measurements onto plywood. This is really like helpful for me. It's like beautiful. It's like so base level, but it works really well. And then just to make sure everything works right before I cut it, I'm gonna tape this on here so it stays, and I'm gonna swivel the seat just to make sure it all clears. Because knowing me, I would cut the whole thing out and it wouldn't clear the seat. These are so hard to turn. I can't be doing this every day. I don't have the strength. Okay, it looks like it clears just fine. All right, so let's go see what we can cut out of wood. This was the table where I was painting, and it was like my workbench, but the 3/4 inch Baltic birch must be sacrificed for my table mount. So in between my cut lines from when I was using the handsaw, I think there's some good wood here. So I'm gonna trace this on here and say bye-bye to my workbench. I'm using a Sharpie. The line is quite significantly outside the actual edge of this template, so just keep in mind that you want to be cutting toward the inside of the line if you're using something big like a Sharpie. I just felt like it was going to be too hard to see the pencil against all this paint. Boom. I'm glad I put away my glasses and my earmuffs because I need them again. It looks weird, but I think it's gonna work. Perfect fit. Next step is I'm going to mark the bolt holes that I need to drill in this thing with the Play-Doh technique. So basically you take some Play-Doh. Oh, it's under my fingernails. Blech. Blech. Take some Play-Doh and get enough of it. You want like maybe a little smaller than a golf ball, maybe ping pong size. And you want to put it on the wood piece about where you're going to need it. And you want to smush it down, not too flat, but you want to get it so the edges like stick. You want it to line up with where you're going to be making your holes. Like that. And then you want to press it onto whatever thing has your holes. And remember, the way you line this up is exactly the way it's going to be sitting when you put it in the van. So don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Push it and slowly. Ah, good. Oh, you also want to keep in mind that you don't want to mount this too far in case you want to put like a heater or something. You want to keep all your clearance in between your seat open. It is time to drill some holes. One very important thing that I learned, if you don't want where everything kind of splinters, you don't want to be using your metal drill bits for wood, simply because the top of the bit is just different. No. Anyway, this one has like a point, so it allows it to kind of drive into the wood better, not causing all that splintering. And if you're new to like the van build, I would imagine that one of the first things you bought was metal drill bits, because there's so much metal that we're gonna be drilling into. But don't like skip that and just think, oh, I can just use the metal ones on wood. I mean, I guess you can if you don't really care about what it looks like, but it's gonna splinter and just look horrible. And I made that mistake for a very long time until I really just recently realized that there's different types of bits that won't give you that blowout. And you can just look on Amazon, and I'll link my set. I love these in the description, so you can buy them if you want to. Another thing I learned is that when you are drilling, you want to just go for it. You don't want to like go pansy-manzy, like slow, because that is gonna give you tear out. And then this one, because it has the point, I'm able to like put that directly on the dot that I made where the center of the hole is. And I'm gonna kind of just like push it in there, just because then it allows me to get as centered as possible. And that one is even better because I had the faster drill speed. Now I'm gonna put this where it goes in the van so I can mark the holes for the faceplate. It's easier to mark out the other holes if I don't have to hold everything at once. In a solo van build, you literally need 4 hands. My feet have gotten pretty good at helping me. Is there a top and a bottom for a nut? Always wondered that. Lord, this is difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my gosh! When I see, oh, I lost it. No! Found it. When I see all these men's doing the van build, I don't know how they do it, because there's like the tiniest places that I need to sneak my hands into. I don't know how these guys with their big man hands are doing this. Anyway, this seems to be coming out good, and if it does, I'm going to be impressed with myself again. Look at that! Ta-da! Okay, so now I want to mark my holes. Bananas! I think that is going to be phenomenal. Jeebie weebies! Woohoo! Okay, I'm just going to see how high I potentially want this to be. So where I need to mount the mounty part. Okay, so if I put the mounting plate as high up on the wood as it can go, the table is now as high up as it can go. Based on the little knob that goes in and out, it's on top of that plate. But it could also, if I needed it, go lower. For me, and probably for you, because I'm probably one of the smaller people that are watching these videos. I'm like 5'1". So if you do use this template, you're gonna want to mount it as high as you can, because you're gonna want that clearance for your legs, but then it'll also be able to slide down. So there we go. And honestly, I just have to say, while I'm here and this is like turning out that it's gonna work out, I came into the van like 3 days ago, and I was so overwhelmed because I couldn't figure out how to make this work. And I was like, I'm just in over my head. I can't do this. If you ever feel like that, please just Forget about it. Tell yourself that you can figure anything out, but at the same time, forget about it and come back to it. And I'm going to tell you, every single time I think there is no way I can figure something out, I go away, I don't think about it, and I just come back, relax, and I figure it out. And if you can't figure out the table, I'm here to help. So I'm glad you found my video.
These are the parts that came with this swivel mount. This is the front plate, which is going to allow the main bar to slide up and down to give you your table height. And this is the back plate, which sandwiches your wood or whatever you are affixing your table mount to together. As you can see, I drilled 6 holes here and then the additional 2 to fasten it to the leg of the Promaster seat. And this is just about how it's going to fit in the van. And I'm going ahead and mounting it with some bolts and putting that back plate on. And I use some lock nuts.
Now the exciting part, I'm going to be mounting this using 2 M6 bolts and 2 lock washers. And I got bit again. Eee, those mosquitoes. Got it. The more I live, the more I learn. I'm gonna hold the wrench behind it and in the front use a screwdriver. Got it. To tighten this, I feel like I'm afraid I'm gonna, I don't know, go past the point of no return. I don't wanna over tighten this and have it like split the wood or something. Granted, I am doing it by hand, so how tight could it really be? But I am pretty strong. Have you seen these guns? Okay. I'm sorry, but that is chef's kiss. It fits, looks aesthetically pleasing. Hopefully it's as functional as it is aesthetic. Let's go see.
I decided I wanted round edges for my table. The way to do that is to use a round over bit that goes in a router. And I suppose you could just use some really heavy duty sandpaper and a power sander to kind of get that round look. But I chose to use a router and I'm loving the way the edges came out. I went over it with my electric sander just to kind of give the edges a more finished look. I decided I wanted to put my van's name in silver metallic marker in the middle of this table. Her name is Vandalina. I got these stencils off Amazon and I traced them with pencil first. I also used a ruler to make sure everything was lined up perfectly and some painter's tape to hold the stencils in place while I was tracing them. Because the wood for my table is only a 1/2 inch, I decided to add an extra little piece of wood. I'm using 1/4 inch in between the piece that mounts to the actual tabletop, just to give it a little bit more sturdiness because I am using 1/2 inch screws and I didn't want them to pierce through my table at all. These screws do look small, but I figured it's fine because there are a ton of holes in this little mount, and I'm using wood glue.
The moment I've been waiting for forever. This is super exciting. Swivel, swivel. This. And last but not least, oh boy. It's a little high, so I can adjust it down here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've been waiting for this forever. Oh my gosh. So good. So yeah, and then it can come off. And then the idea would be that you can store this behind the seat. And I've seen little kind of corners that you can stick this into so it could go up against. For instance, if my fridge is boxed in behind my seat and I have a long cabinet, this could just sneak in behind my driver's seat, and then I could access it easily when I need it. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretend got my coffee if I'm watching a movie. It took forever to figure out exactly where I wanted to mount the back plate on. It's a little bit offset, not too much, because I didn't want it to be cockeye. I wanted the weight to be distributed like well enough, but at the same time, I wanted to be able to maneuver this table away from me if I wanted to. And if the mount was mounted directly in the center, I wasn't going to be able to do that. So like here, I could have it kind of away from me. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And just so you guys know, this mount that I'm using here was, I think, around $70. And I believe that the actual Lagoon mount that you can get is definitely above $200. And since like I'm spending an exorbitant amount of money on this van build, I was like, the one thing I definitely can skimp on is something like my table mount. It's not even that big of a deal. I saved $100+ something on this table mount that I can use toward my water system. Speaking of, make sure you subscribe, because if you want to see how I install my water system, that is going to be the next video. I will be filming all the ins and outs to show y'all exactly how it goes. Bye for now.